What up, YouTube? This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. I'm constantly going over things in my mind that I'm like, I need to talk about that, or I need to talk about that, or let me hit them with this, because there's just so much abundance of information, in my mind, in the experiences I've had, and things that I've encountered, and things that I continue to see and unfold in front of me, right? And that's why I do this. So just so you know, I'm gonna reiterate it from time to time. My channel is to put out information to make more people aware of what's really happening, what your personal responsibility is, what outlook you should be striving to work towards to improve your overall results in life. That's the whole point of True Table. And I talk about things like relationships. That's been my focal point at this level. I'm gonna eventually talk about self-development, self-love and things like that, building relationships from all aspects. So that's just a little snippet of what the overall channel is about. Now, why am I passionate about this? I'm passionate about it because I hate seeing defeated people. I hate seeing men constantly get their butt kicked in the social atmosphere and things that are happening. And I hate seeing females acting inappropriately in a way that is counterproductive to what is best beneficial for their overall success and results. Now, I can probably already hear some people saying, who the heck are you to say what's inappropriate and what's appropriate? Well, as I said when I started this video, I'm Daniel Rucker with True Table. This is my opinion and my outlook. But that's just my little reintroduction to the world. What I want to talk about today is I'm going to be talking to my men. And ladies, feel free to tune in, feel free to listen, feel free to digest this information because it's just as beneficial to you. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my men about something I don't believe anyone's talking about. I don't think I've even heard anyone talk about it. I follow a lot of content creators, the roommates, Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fit, Coach Greg Adams. I mean, tons of them, and all these men are great. Shout out to you gentlemen for doing what you guys are doing. But one thing I haven't heard discussed just yet is why it's impossible to get a woman that has a toxic mindset to be obsessed with you if you are a good man. Now, I want to talk about that because I think it's very relevant. I think it's very important. Now, what do I mean by that? When I say obsessed with you, there is a natural component that happens with women, fellas, that require her to be in her core, in her being, in her mind, in her spirit, in her heart, in her emotions, a good girl. Now, they're hard to identify, especially now, because society has changed so much in the way that we've allowed women to conduct themselves. There used to be a time where there was a standard of characteristics. There was a standard of morality on display. There was a standard of what you knew based on just maybe social pressure, maybe cultural pressure, maybe a combination of both. That when you were interacting with a female, this is the kind of characters you were going to get. This is the kind of treatment, response, attitude, demeanor. It was what you were going to get. It was without question. You knew that was going to occur in that transaction, in that equation. Forgive me, that's my dryer in the background. Kind of annoying. Sorry about that. But anyway, so yeah, that's changed. Now, me being a good guy by nature, I was raised a certain way. I was, given certain lessons, from a young age until now. And my foundation was centered in love. And, my parents raised me to be, a gentleman and, all of those things at work. So what ended up happening in my social life is I grew up thinking the world was one way, that everybody was kind, everybody was honest, that people were respectful, that women respond to good nature, that if you treat them right, they're going to treat you right. 35 years on this planet. I'm here to tell you, fellas, if you haven't already learned this, that's nonsense. That's BS. That is not how it works. And a part of the reason why it doesn't work that way is because the information that women are being fed is 9 times out of 10 from a place of media, media, like a point of media, or whether it's movies, books, whether it's music. It's a collective amount of things, right? I'm gonna try to keep this condensed, and if I go over my standard 15 to 20 minutes, I will do a part 2. So anyway, the reason why I think, based on my own journey, based on what I've observed, because I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with gentlemen and guys that are good guys, truly good at nature, wholesome dudes who want to do right by women, who want to treat her with respect, who want to care for her, who is cool with having one girl only, and investing his energy time into that. And those men are 9 times out of 10 called betas. And that's fine. Great, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to be. Now, the problem is what I think guys don't know how to decipher the nature of a good girl. And it used to be easy. It used to be easy because it was safely assumed that any girl you talk to, any woman you were, socializing with, associated with, she was a good girl. That was without question. And it was in a high 90 percentile, from probably somewhere around the 40s, the 50s, up until maybe early 2000s, maybe. There started to be cultural shifts, right? But what has occurred now, 2021, is I would say from the mid-millennium, 2008, 2009-ish, when people like Rihanna, Beyonce is a part of this equation. There's been a collective amount of people who have contributed to the toxic crap that's going on right now, right? The mindset of most girls now is not what it was. Why is that important, fellas? That's important is because if you are a pure Labrador type of dude, right? And I'm using this as an example to drive the point. If you're a Labrador type of dude, everybody know what a Labrador is. A Labrador is like, your Lassie type, your kind, caring, gentle type of dog. If you're that dude inside, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's the dude you are. In the modern dating market, you are going to get dumped on. You are going to get mistreated. You're going to get overlooked. You're going to get manipulated and taken full advantage of. Why can I say that without question? Because now what we have is a mindset of females that are digesting toxic-like imagery, toxic-like media, toxic-like music, and the culture is supporting a different presentation of a girl. See, it's no longer cute to be a virgin. It's no longer cute to be wholesome. It's no longer cute to be a female who just wants to date one guy or be courted by one guy or be cared for by one guy, receive letters and romantic gestures from one man. That's not cute anymore. There's a whole new breed of females now. Now, why is that important? That's important is because what was one time okay to present to her, the romantic gestures, the care, the amount of emotional vulnerability, and she could receive it and actually feel, I would say, privileged that she was experiencing that with you. It looks foreign to her. You got a different set of eyes, fellas. You got a different mindset you're dealing with. These females, from their toxic position in their mind, their perspective, is so warped that when you come from a place of pureness, she don't see you. She can't receive you. Why is that important? Because what's going to happen is that you're going to run into more rejection. You're going to run into more miscommunication. You're going to run into more unbalanced, unequal exchange of effort, attention, value. And it's happening all the time. I see it all the time. At one time, long time ago, those are things I used to experience. That's no longer the case because I know how to move and migrate. And that's what I'm hoping to share with you guys today. And so on. In order to now be a man in this current dating market and be successful, you have to be able to identify the good girl versus the thotty versus the promiscuous one versus the party one, the party girl who is cool with, moving about the world in a certain way. And why is that? Because women, fellas, by nature, are only products of the experiences that they've had. I'll give you an example. A woman can date a few guys, right? And based on her experience, based on what she's heard from her girlfriends, based on what she observes, based on what she sees, she formulates now a conclusion of what she feels is in the world. So this is both good and bad, depending on her experiences. If she's had a bunch of great experiences, then she's more than likely gonna have a positive outlook on men and guys in general. Whether those relationships worked out or not for their various reasons, you should have a higher chance of, depending on the presentation and connection and interaction she's had with men. And that's way before she meets you. That could be her father, that could be her brothers, that could be uncles, that could be boyfriends, that could be a collective, right? Because women gather information through experience and then formulate based on what they saw, what they've experienced. They don't journey broad to try to calculate information from all collective sources. That's not how they work. They take very little information, very few experiences, and come to a hard conclusion. This is how most women are, fellas. Why does that work against you? It works against you because depending on her experience will determine what type of woman shows up when she meets you, the good guy. Now, this is a combination of age. This is a combination of geographical location. This is a combination of the industry she's in, the kind of work she does, so on and so on and so on. As a man, you have to be able to determine based on your vetting process, based on the questions you ask, based on how your interaction with her even is. I'll give you an example. I had a friend the other day ask for a young lady's phone number. First thing she says is, "Oh, I don't give my number out." And he was like, "Okay, well, you know what? Respect it, but it was nice meeting you." And she was like, "Wait, but I'll give you my Instagram." And he was like, "No, I'm not interested in getting your Instagram." Now, I understand that we live in a modern time, 2021, and Instagram, Snapchat, and all those different apps are necessary to a degree of connecting because we have a society of people who connect through multiple apps. And that's great. That's good. But I'm going to tell you why I respected what he did, and I also agree with what he did. See, he asked for her number because he felt that it was going to be necessary to communicate with her the way he wants to communicate with her. And because he's also aware that because the way we communicate nowadays is mostly through apps and things of that nature, getting her phone number was step one of the vetting process. What he was hoping to see was that she was going to be wise enough to be able to hear the phone number and then move accordingly. But the defensive part of her came into play when she started talking about, "I don't give my number out, for various reasons." That's very much confusing to me because I feel that one, a lot of young ladies value themselves way too high. If you're a public figure, someone famous, you have a lifestyle that is somewhat it would be of a damage for you to give out your number to some guy you just met. I totally understand that. But let's be honest. Most of these girls are basic. Most of these girls are plain, and they're mostly normal. They're not living a lifestyle that requires a lot of eyes on them or anything like that. So her giving you her number is totally freaking okay. But if she chooses not to give you her number, she wants to vet you through the social media aspect. Well, I personally have a problem with that, and as my friend did too, which I respect. And that's what I'm saying to you fellas, is that there are going to be certain things that are telltale signs of the interaction with this woman based on her own toxicity. Girls a lot of times, women a lot of times go through one episode, or see an episode. Sometimes the interaction aren't even their interactions. They hear the horror stories from their friends. They have one guy who may have been a little bit clingy or a little bit too much. And then from that point, now they take that one isolated incident and now their new norm is, I'm just not going to give my number out anymore. Because obviously this one guy is every guy. And that's not true. Shame on you women. But anyway, a part of that though is understanding that you got to know what's going on in her mind. And a lot of what's going on in women's mind now is trash. When it comes to the perspective of men, it's trash. It's almost impossible to be able to get a girl with a toxic mindset to be obsessed with you. Now, the obsession I'm talking about is a healthy obsession. The obsession I'm talking about is every man wants a woman to value him unique. And any man saying that he don't is a liar. And I can combat this because it's this whole thing about how we want respect and we want loyalty. That's one of the top things for most, if not every man at the top of their list, loyalty and respect. Well, a part of that comes from an obsession from the woman. See, she's only going to be loyal and respect you if she has an obsession with you. And if she has a toxic mindset, fellas, there's no way for her to be obsessed with you. Why? Because most of the time, the toxic mindset is conditioned in a way that forces her in her belief system to not connect to you at a deep level, to not trust you at that level, to not give you what she would consider to be, the utmost vulnerable, the utmost prized possession, and that's her heart. That's her insides, her soul, which comes with trust and all those things. Why? Because either a situation has taught her not to do that, an experience has taught her not to do that, and these things are usually bad situations, circumstances. So that's a toxic mindset, which is what one of my my colleagues, Kevin Samuels, always is supporting therapy, which I have to be inclined to agree with. That's a lot of people do need therapy. Why? Because if your goal is to find someone that you want to connect with on a real level, if your goal is to have a relationship that is based in substance, based in the good stuff, based in honesty and communication and all of those things, it is impossible to create that dynamic if your mindset is toxic. I'm telling you what I know, fellas. It's impossible. So what I would encourage is that if you are interacting with a young lady, your job is to figure out what state of mentality she has. This will determine how to now move about with her. This will determine what type of energy she deserves from you, what type of effort she deserves from you, what type of, involvement you can really have with her. Because the world is quick to blame us men about relationships being trash and relationships not being great. I'd beg to differ. I would say that a lot of times the reason why relationships do not succeed or do not grow or do not, last is because you got a lot of females out here who have very toxic mindsets. And their mindset is so toxic that they can't recognize a good guy when he actually shows the heck up. Because their perspective on men is so much in the dumpster that when you are doing the very things that a good man would do, like asking about your day or questioning your motives or questioning your career choice or, what your relationship with your mother looks like, or, these things that when you're looking to really get to know the soul of a person, you're involved in the way that they think. You're involved in the way that they show up. You're involved in the way they show up from the presentation of themselves, their aesthetics, the presentation of their verbiage and their characteristics, their display of self in public, their display of self online. All this stuff is important. Why? Because you as a quality man have a standard. And for a woman with a toxic mindset, all she's going to see and feel is that you're either trying to change her, trying to control her. And it's based, again, on her toxic mindset. So, that's where I'm going to leave it today. There's so much more I can touch on, but I wanted to give you gentlemen a few tips and a couple things to kind of take into consideration, because I know that it's a struggle out here. And I know that a lot of guys probably are not even taking into account just this point, that one, you want a woman to be healthy. You want a woman to be obsessed with you in a healthy way if you're looking to grow with her. But if she got a toxic mindset, fellas, that's damn near impossible. So that's all I'm going to give you guys today. Thank you for hanging out with me for almost 20 minutes now. This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit that bell, hit that subscriber, icon. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to keep coming to you guys with this content. Go ahead and hit me up. My email is truetable@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram as well as Facebook. You guys have a good one. Enjoy your day. I'm out.